remember the boogie brought down the house. The DJs turned it out in 1975. His surrender was total and complete, down to his dancing feet, and he gave it up for love. Wasn't gravity that kept him there. But the music and the magic in the air. Oh, it wasn't gravity that kept him there.
Into this space today, let me just say thank you for the invitation. Thank you for
but the music and the magic in the air. Brought down the house, the DJs turned it out in 1975. His surrender was total and complete, down to his dancing feet, and he gave it up for love. He remembers the boogie brought down the house, the DJs turned it out in 1975. His surrender was total and complete, down to his dancing feet.
We had growing opportunities, we were promised growing opportunities for businesses. You all know the story. I'm preaching to the choir, I know. And so that's what I think it reflects our current state and the challenges that are in front of us. Clear on what the challenges are. Majid is a part of that coalition. And so our intention is to continue to hold the city accountable. How many are aware that the city created a reparations fund? Okay, a number of hands went up. Good. So the city did create a reparations fund. However, the fund has no funds. So there's that. So it's like we got a wallet.
I guess I flew
with no
too
money.
high.
It's a nice wallet. It's a pretty wallet, arguably.
Icarus falling
So
from
part of
the
our
sky.
moving on is to get some investments.
But in the dense rainforest heat, somehow I landed on my feet with the will to survive.
Many of our leading private sector corporations have history in harming black folks, not just in San Francisco, but across this country. And so we want to both hold them accountable and have them invest in the repairs that we know our black San Franciscans are due. And so that's where we are. That's the work that is happening as we speak. And certainly invite you to, as you see opportunities to add your voice to some of that advocacy, please do so. And we value that. So thank you.
Thank you for that very in-depth answer. So if implemented meaningfully, what could reparations actually do for the black economic justice in San Francisco? Not just symbolically, but materially.
Well, I mean, clearly, we didn't go through that entire exercise for it to be some kind of aspirational future state. It was intended to bring real, substantive, qualitative change and transformation in the lives of black San Franciscans. And so, kind of three things that I think I'd lift up that if implemented substantially, then one, actually some of the work you are doing, Majid, around the certificates of preference, that we will see a stabilizing of the population of black San Franciscans, and that there will be real intention. I recall some comments that Mayor Lurie made at the Black History Celebration back in February. And he talked about how important the black community is to San Francisco. To which I say, if that's true, then there ought to be efforts to sustain the black community in San Francisco. And there ought to be efforts to actually invite folks back to San Francisco who for many reasons, including economic reasons, have had to leave the city, forced out of the city, priced out of the city. And if we're going to change that, then that's only going to happen with intention. Not by happenstance. And so, one, there'll be a stabilization of black San Franciscans, if not a growth in black San Franciscans. Secondly, we'll see substantive investments in, first, the financial well-being of black San Franciscans. Secondly, the access to capital for businesses to sustain themselves and grow the important work that they are doing. That it's not enough simply to start hiring more black folks. We need to start giving black folks the opportunity to hire themselves and to invest in themselves and to create their own economic foundations, foundations of economic wealth, which leads then to generational wealth. And so we'll see that happen if and as the reparations are implemented substantially.
Thank you for that. I know you mentioned the lack of responsiveness in terms of City Hall and the two items that they did not implement. My question is, what are the biggest barriers right now, political, financial, structural, that could prevent reparations from becoming something real?
Probably the largest barrier, I think, is present right now. California, like about 11 other states in the country. For California, it was Prop 209. It's called by other names and numbers in other states. But it makes illegal the use of public funds and or resources that are allocated to one exclusive people group. Doesn't matter who they are. So you're not allowed to use public dollars to say it's only for fill in the blank. And so that creates a huge barrier. I don't believe it insurmountable, but it's a huge barrier nonetheless, because the other challenge for us is a political one, right? And so there are many legislative and political leaders who don't want to fight that fight, who don't see the political efficacy of doing so. And so they choose not to fight that fight. My perspective is, as it's been done in several communities across the country, Evanston, Charleston, it's happening right now as we speak in Boston, where they've decided to take up the fight. If we're gonna go to court, let's go to court. Let's take up the legal fight. And part of the opportunity for us to learn from is not only just the political will to take up the fight, but also the legal strategy around shaping the legislation and the implementation so that it can withstand the legal challenge. Because we know and can anticipate that the legal challenge will come. And then, so there's the political challenge, there's the financial challenge, which is we need investments in this work. It was an interesting conversation with members of the coalition who, and I get it, why are we raising money to pay for the harms that we experienced? Yes, make it make sense. And at the same time, we need the resources. So it's a conundrum. I hear it, I get it, and yet I know that our community needs it, and so I'm willing to do that work on behalf of community, knock on the doors, make the asks, and raise the money so that it can be invested in and for our community.
I'm gonna ask two more questions, that way we can have time left over for anybody in the audience that has a question. What's one approach or model you believe is actually working right now to build Black economic stability and ownership?
I wish Tanisha were here to talk about a program that SF Black Wall Street stood up a few years ago. They've been running for a number of years now. I'm trying to remember the name that they have for it, and it's a good one, and I'm not going to remember it, but I'll tell you what it does. It has brought together cohorts of budding entrepreneurs of 10 to 20 each year for the last 3 or 4 years. And they've invested in their capacity around developing their vision, developing their business plan, developing their implementation plan, developing how they raise capital, and then helping them to launch. And I think that again, is a great model for ensuring that we're being Black folks are being put in position to own. Because I think one of the biggest barriers that we experience, going all the way back to coming out of slavery, is that we didn't own. And the very promise we got for 40 acres and a mule, we never got. The very properties we helped to till, we weren't allowed to own. And arguably, many of the economic gaps we are living in and through today began then, and that gap only widened. And so I think, again, that is a good model that can be replicated across all kinds of entrepreneurial endeavors and issues and opportunities. And I believe that that's what we should focus on. The other thing I think that is working now in pockets, and I say it that way because the amazing work of HEC is fantastic. The amazing work that Joy is doing through Third Street U Clinic, fantastic. Right? And the amazing work that Tasing is now doing over at Glide, fantastic. And at the same time, they're all disparate, right? And it's happening over and there's just too few of us to be working, in my humble opinion. And I'm not being critical of us. We've all got to, for often, have to be head down, getting it done. So I get it. What I would love to see is that whatever the percentage we are today, 4%, 5%, that we really do determine how we build one collective table. To have many spokes, many efforts that still allow for the individuality and the focused work that we do. But this city needs to experience us being even more united than we already are, so that we have both the political power and the agency to make things happen on behalf of our community.
Amen. So one last question. What is one concrete action that needs to happen in the next 12 to 24 months to move us toward real economic justice?
Just one thing. 12 to 24 months. Can I say two things?
Yes.
Only because there's some short-term immediate, and then there's a longer term, and I think we need to have both strategies at work at the same time. On the long term, even though we may not see or realize the material return on this, I still think it important, which is we need the city to make a concrete commitment to reparations in San Francisco, and to declare an intention that it will, even if not all at once, over time, demonstrate that commitment. And so again, I know that's a longer term. We may not see, the fruits of that, if you will, right away, but I really do believe that that's important. The more immediate, I'm gonna be really basic. Give us a grocery store and a pharmacy in both the Fillmore and the Bayview today. Do it today. There's sufficient land, there are sufficient spaces around which both of those can be realized. Make it happen right now.
I'm in class right now taking notes, man. I want to thank you for participating, for your leadership and honesty in this conversation. Let's give it up for Eric. And so now we want to open it up to folks that may have questions about reparations, economic justice, or other questions for Eric.
There's a hand back in the back. Ms. Shepherd, yep. Oh, she has one back there as well. Yep. Yes.
Please don't make me stand up. I'm a little tired, okay? Brother Eric, thank you. Thank you for all that you shared. My question to you is, you kind of alluded to a little bit of it. Many of us sitting in this room are working on different vantage points of Black life, of the life of people struggling in our communities. How do we collectively support your work and the leadership that you're doing so we can have a collective impact moving forward?
A basic relational dynamic I would name, and then I'll name a structural one. A basic relational one, again, there are too few of us to be as divided as we are. Now, there may be very substantive, real issues that are interpersonal and dynamic, and to be a little, whatever you might call it, fatherly or pastoral or whatever, go make it right so we can be in the same room together. Right? Because I hear all too often, no, if he coming, I ain't coming. No, if she coming, I'm not, I can't go. I can't be a part of it. Hard for us to be united if we allow those kinds of things to divide us. So that's the basic relational piece of it. The structural piece of it, I would suggest, is we really do, and I mean this very kind of pragmatically, we really do need to set one table that we agree to come to. Not every day, not all day, not that it pulls you completely away from what you are currently focused on, but I would love to see, if not annually, biannually, the Summit of Black Folks in San Francisco, where we are coming together to set a collective agenda that is both economic as well as political, as well as social, and that we allow that to then be our shared agenda as we go back into our various spaces to do the important work that we do every day. So that's what I would love to see.
Hello, thank you. I'm Tony Hines with Why Not Unite for Peace. And in the meantime, because I'm really on board with what you're saying, I would like to see those who know how to organize help us go back to mutual aid. Because there's been a time when we came from nothing, had nothing. There's always, 10% of black people was doing okay. But for the masses, the grassroots, we had to rely on each other. I'm from down south, so me and my family still do it. But to just expand into this process, mutual aid, to the point where we don't even need reparations. Not that I'm not going to cash that check, and I do want it, and I do deserve it. But in the meantime.
I agree with you, right? The value and import, I mean, that's our history as a people, is mutual aid. When they wouldn't give it to us, we created it for ourselves. When they wouldn't provide it for us, we provided for ourselves, and we took care of each other. So I agree with you 100%. And I still want my check. Yes.
Help support that. Because I don't want just an agreement, I want some support in doing it, to expand it.
Yes, absolutely. So that it can be sustained over time, right, and not just short term. So I agree with you 100%. And then there's one up front here. Please, there, and then there's a hand up front. And also, just want to welcome Tanish
It's on.
to be with us. So feel free to ask her a question as well.
All right. How do we collectively find someone that can go to United Nations and speak with them to get the funds that we need?
Wow. Tanish, what do you think?
No idea. Here we go. Might be too close. Yeah. I do not have the answer to that, but I do think maybe we should share mic. Let's share mic. Maybe easier. Yeah, you're too close to the speaker. Okay. I don't have the answer to that, but I do think that all of our advocacy here matters. All of the work that we do here, especially in San Francisco, matters to keep that visibility up. You have to remember, the United Nations, our country's position is not a good one. Our country's moral condition is not a good one. And who we align with, who this country aligns with morally is not good. But I think that as people, we have to keep being the conscious of the country, black people specifically. We are the conscious of the country. So if we keep advocating, we keep doing our work, I think that opens doors and opportunities for us to have a seat at the table, have a voice at the table. The representation matters. I think the legal representation matters for us too, and that's another way to get access to those spaces. But to have a representative in the United Nations, that's not something I'm familiar with.
I don't have a good answer to that either. I will just say, just to kind of second and double click on what Tanish said. As many of you know, the United Nations just passed a resolution declaring slavery as an atrocity across the globe. It passed, but the United States voted no. So our country is in a sad state in terms of its posture amongst the global community. So that's the right direction to go. The path to get there is a tough one. But thanks for lifting that up.
Eric, I want to thank you and Tanisha. I'm so pleased that you're here with us as well, and Majid. In talking about who we are, where we are, and our problems, and what we're doing, what needs to be done. And one of the things that I hope we'll always stick with, always remember, is we're not going to be working on the Band-Aid solutions, but root causes. One of our root causes, and if you don't mind me standing, One of our root causes across cultures is that we don't know history. We don't know our history, even the history of where we are right here in this city. Many don't know, even in Chinatown, that during the earthquake 1905-06, and they were trying to take Chinatown away from the Asians because they knew the capabilities. It was the black engineers, after it being torn apart and broken up from the fire and earthquake, that went in, designed, and rebuilt the structures. An African American, not African American, but a black man came here, mixed, William Alexander Leidesdorff. Yes, say the name again. Leidesdorff. Landed at the port of San Francisco, one of the first millionaires in this nation, went into Chinatown and started the first school, went to Sacramento and had it claimed as the San Francisco Unified School District is what he started. Many of the Asians don't know that. And they went in, the blacks, and there's an underground, almost a city in Chinatown, built because they were afraid to put their monies into banks. The blacks built it for them and built that structure where they have almost a whole living quarters, working quarters, business beneath Chinatown. They don't know that, and many of us are not aware of that. But we're not aware of our own history of, as it was said earlier, this city was built on the backs of the African, black, African Americans. The nation was. But we don't realize our value, what we have poured into this city, and we step back and almost take on the jacket that we're second, third, fourth, fifth class, don't deserve, don't know how to handle. But what we've got to work with, as Tanish said and Eric, I'm not sure if the United Nations is the place where we want to start to rebuild the narrative about the African American culture. We have got to rebuild it within our communities, within our families, and within ourselves. The history, just about everything that's used for science, technology, and social, not just justice, but social life, has been built by blacks to putting the first spaceship on the moon, making us the most powerful nation in the world. So if we don't talk about, share this information, and we just move on doing other things, we're barely putting a Band-Aid. It's like gauze without a Band-Aid to hold it on. And we wonder what's going on with our children. We have always had a standard. Tanisha, you know. Eric, you know. I grew up around them. To sing, you know. As older folk, you never heard us cussing, acting crazy in public, in front of our children, in a crowd, in a gang, in a group. That does not happen. We've got to go back to our moral standards. And as you say, we can do our own. We did it with just those little $1. Everybody give $1, a nickel, in an offering. We took care of our own schools. We took care of our own children, clothing, food. We put everything together just like in the book of Acts. And people knew us, and we are, as it was said earlier, we're a people of commune. We're a people of love. We're a people of resilience, courage, and power. We're not going to give up. We're not going to give in. We are not going to give over, but there is a way we need to continue carrying ourselves, not like we don't count. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to say this. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying we have a moral. If you saw Dr. Scott walking down the street and my pants was below my hips, what would you say? Would you not come and pull him up and say, Dr. Scott, are you okay? Why would you ask me that? What's wrong with it? But we're allowing ourselves to show, because they take pictures of us, and when they post it, that's all the other countries know. And when we allow this, it devalues. It stops the budget. And we don't see it. We want to celebrate Black History Month, Juneteenth, and wonder where the money's coming from. They go pay us to devalue ourselves? No. So they hold back. We have got to do better. There is dignity, and has always been. Always. You don't see Eric looking like he looks because his mother taught him better. Tanish taught better. To sing taught better. Modeled before you with dignity, honor, and pride. And so I say, we have got to first not look for someone else to do this for us, but we've got to do it. Tony said something. Y'all may not be doing this, but her family is doing this in the South. They're doing this. They're together. And we have got to be together. We have got to hold up a standard that reflects who we are, not what the world wants to see, so that they can ignore us and neglect and overlook. But there's got to be the standard of who we are and what we're created to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. And we have
Reverend Dr. Carolyn Scott.
Reverend Dr.
And the
Carolyn.
church said, amen.
So we have one more question from Brittany. Oh, I guess, is it? No, she actually was first. So, and then a question from Brittany, and that will actually conclude our discussion after Dr. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, all of you for what you did, And my question is aligned with after all everybody shared. Not too long ago, a few months ago, there was an event at Third Baptist Church where the Reverend Brown have people from Africa, some type of movement to unite the black community to create wealth. And I wonder how this event align with what you're doing. And also in terms of the Black Wall Street, I don't know if I said it right, but most recently I heard in the news that the government said that for people that do not have citizenship, they cannot have loan for business. And how will this affect the black wealth? Because a lot of people have small business and they are not citizen. And can your office turn this around somehow to help this business continue what they were doing to help the economy, the black economy?
So there was two parts to your question, if I understand correctly. The first one was about something that was hosted at Third Baptist in an effort to bring people from the African community together with the black community around business. And then the second part is around something that the federal government might be doing to not support people who don't have businesses if they're not people who are business owners if they are not citizens. correct? Okay, I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying. I think that what the federal government is doing is going to impact everybody, obviously. For the black community in particular, we have always been pushed out, locked out of resources. From the loans to the grants to the support for our businesses, which is one of the reasons why so many Black Wall Streets, like our organization and black business efforts across the country have come together, because we've always had an issue with getting access to those resources. So the short answer is yes, it will affect all of us, and particularly our brothers and sisters who may not be native to this country, but we've always been affected by that. So how do we begin to bring and circulate our dollars together, build our businesses and build our ecosystems together? That's what we really have to do. We can't rely on we never could rely on the government. We can advocate, we can do things through policy, we can keep pushing back. But what we ultimately have to do is go back to our foundation, like Dr. Scott said, like Tony brought up, which is how do we build relationship and how do we build business and build opportunity with each other? How do we rebuild our ecosystems? If that is what the effort at Third Baptist was about, then I co-sign that. I don't know if this event is aligned with it, but I co-sign that message. We also in the city have done that in a lot of different ways. We don't have a lot of physical space where our businesses are located. Even for this to be the African American Art and Culture District, we don't have very many physical spaces where our businesses are located yet, right? So we have to create our networks other ways. We have to continue to do business with each other other ways. We have to provide mutual aid and support to each other in other ways. And that's the most effective way, honestly. The less they know about how we operate, the better. Because then they can't come and bomb it like they did the physical Black Wall Streets, right? They can't come and undermine it. That is another challenge that we have when government, when they see something working well, they intentionally come to disrupt it. So the more we can do together, the more systems we can create on our own, the better.
So we have two more people. Brittany.
All right. Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. Hi, Tanish. So before you got here, Eric had brought up the program that you had during the pandemic, and we couldn't remember the name of it, but it was, the Millionaire Program. And so in the spirit of health is wealth, can you tell everybody just a little bit about the program that you had, and can you speak on, what you saw firsthand that served as like mental health or like health barriers for your participants that kept them from being successful, or like, was serving as a barrier from them moving forward with their businesses?
That's a great question. So SF Black Wall Street had a program called the Black Millionaire Development Program, and we started it during the pandemic. The idea was to help Black entrepreneurs, whether they had a business idea or they already had a business in operation, but to get them scaled up. So we did a lot of business planning with them. We also supported them with grants. We had a lot of professionals in our network that were providing technical assistance to them, everything from their bookkeeping and accounting to marketing, a lot of great stuff to help support their businesses. And then, as you all know, we curated a lot of events and a lot of cultural celebrations and partnered with just about everybody in the room to make space for those entrepreneurs so they could build their profile, build access to market, start having more opportunities. Your question about the mental health and the health piece is a really good one, though, because one, it's not just about the cost of doing business, it's the stress of doing business, and specifically to be Black and trying to do business in San Francisco, right? One thing that I found that was, especially stressful is that most people, although we have roots here, no longer lived here. So the stress of having to try to anchor a business with a community that's been displaced. The people that you want to serve, your customers are. For us, we are designing businesses for us, right? We're designing businesses with our community in mind, but our community is displaced. So you have people who are traveling 2 hours or more to come here, right, for a moment in time, but have the challenge of trying to build consistency with their business because our community has been displaced. The other thing beyond the financial was just dealing with their own personal crisis that would be coming up for people. You know, we are a community that's impacted by everything, whether it's health, situations that are going on in the family, community violence, all those things are living and breathing, and people are trying to manage their businesses and manage their lives. There's no shutting one off for the other. So there was just a lot that people were navigating, but the community that we were able to build, the support system we were able to build through that program was like none other, because we were able to rely on each other. You know, these entrepreneurs were able to rely on each other, not just for information, but for support. They were able to add capacity to each other, right? I got you, don't worry about it. You come, I got this piece of it. I'm gonna be at this event, I'm gonna put you on. Again, that's the network, that's what we're able to build with each other. So while the city may not see the value in these types of programs, especially with them cutting everything right now, it is for the health and well-being of our community to have those kind of resources and support, specifically for Black entrepreneurs, because it's almost impossible to do it without it here.
And last question, Dr. Cedric.
First, I'm on. First, I'd like to congratulate everybody that was involved in bringing this together. Very, 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 very beneficial for the community. But I heard somebody say earlier that we're tired of talking. That let's do something. We talked about ways we could do that, and Eric, you mentioned a little bit about investment groups. Well, having been a former realtor, I know one that the community could use, and I think we should buy something. Do we own this building? Okay, we could do what they call a real estate investment trust. We could buy this building, and we can start buying our community. And the way a real estate investment trust works, and I'll just make it real simple. If it's a $100 building, I put in $10, I have 10%. Now, what we have to understand about San Francisco and how ripe it is for investment is, when's the last time you were able to buy something cheaper than, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It's always going to grow. It has always shown a trend to grow. So if we want to start talking about how we build wealth, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's put an organization together. Let's look at one of these warehouses out here. If you got a 4,000-foot warehouse and you can put four 1,000 square foot, I mean, 10, whatever it comes into, it's 10,000 square feet. That's a big apartment. That's a good live, work loft. We've seen that done with Joel Donahue all up and down 3rd Street. Why can't we do it ourselves? If we put it out there, we got realtors, we got all kind of trade people that could go in and work, excuse me, I'm kind of scattered. I think that the food gave me a little bit of a food coma. But anyway, this is a great opportunity. Let's do something. And if you guys need the expertise to get together to start a REIT that we can then start pushing out to the community, I would let them come in for as little as $50. Because if you start adding that up and all of a sudden we have a building, their equity is going to go up. Now, you can't necessarily, you have to have things in place where you have to have, say, a 10-year moratorium. You can't pull your money out or anything out that you lose it. But if we're going to do something, let's do something. If this is the leadership, if this is the vision, let's put together a real estate investment trust and start buying not only warehouses, let's buy this building so that we will have something that we can always say that we can come to if we want to meet. And we don't have that now. All right?
Well, let's give another round of applause for our amazing panelists. And to you all for being here today. Thank you so much for being part of this whole day and this panel discussion. Thank you.